confused, not knowing what to do. She looked at me blankly, not knowing what she should do. I said softly, my voice not loud but carrying the threat of Conqueror's Haki, Ashley. She unconsciously wanted to follow my words. The long knife swung down, and the young man named Afe lost his life. Ashley, remember, in the apocalypse, once you've made an enemy, you must cut the weeds and pull out the roots. Any hesitation or soft-heartedness on your part will bury the seeds of death for yourself. Ashley looked at the 4 corpses in front of her. These people were all killed by her. She felt a little uncomfortable in her heart, but still nodded gently and obediently replied, I remember, brother. The 2 of them returned the way they came. The car was still where they had left it. After getting in the car, they did not continue to go deep into the forest, but headed out of the mountains. They had harvested the devil fruits, but the car was also running out of gas. If they couldn't find a gas station to refuel, they would have to go back now. The Z-virus outbreak was more severe, and the satellite system had also collapsed. So navigation could no longer be used. They could only rely on memory to continue. I remember there was a gas station on the way we came. Let's go see. We drove towards the gas station. At this time, there were almost no cars on the highway running frantically. People were either hiding in the city, trying to survive, or those who wanted to run had already run long ago. It was just that most of the people who ran out died on the road, after finding a gas station and filling up all the oil drums. This time we did not continue on the old road but drove north, this way. We wouldn't be too far from home as the crow flies. We drove north for another 3 days. On the way, thanks to Ashley's guidance, we changed direction several times. Unfortunately, we didn't find any more devil fruits. On the road, we refueled with diesel again, and we headed northeast. Without navigation, relying on feeling and experience, this place should have left Yujo and entered the Shinjo area. We'll search for another 3 days. Whether we find anything or not, we have to go back. The satellite navigation has lost its effect. If we continue, we might get lost and not find our way home. Ashley nodded in agreement. All right, let's search for another 3 days. After being out for so many days and only finding the devil fruits, this made her a little unwilling. She thought that with her devil fruit ability, she should at least find a dozen. But I said that finding 2 was already very good. We've only searched a part of Yujo and Shinjo. Finding 2 already means your ability is amazing. After being praised, Ashley was a little happier, but she still felt that 2 was too few. At least Mom, Brother Meng, and Sister Jade should each have 1. We're still 1 short. In fact, there were 3 devil fruits in her storage space, but one of them was the Rumble fruit. This was the one she had saved for her brother to eat after he used the membranizing potion. She believed that her brother would definitely get one of the 2 unique exchange options. In the divine shop, on the deserted road, only our civilian armored car was driving alone. Suddenly, a cloud of yellow sand rolled up. I frowned slightly and stopped the car. Ashley, who was dozing off, was startled by the sudden braking. Brother, what's wrong? She looked around blankly. This was still a deserted road, and there were no zombies. A guest has arrived. I picked up the segmented steel whip by my side, pushed the car door open, and got out. As I got out of the car, the rolling yellow sand in front of us suddenly subsided and turned into a person in the car. Ashley saw this scene and her eyes widened. The Sasa fruit, a Logia type. She was instantly wide awake and also opened the car door and got out. The yellow sand condensed into a tall young man in casual clothes. As soon as he saw me, his eyes darted back and forth, sizing up me and my sister. There aren't many people who can still run around in the wild now. He put his hands in his pockets, looking very relaxed. He introduced himself. I'm Lian Li, a Sasa fruit Logia type ability user. Want to join my force? I replied coldly, no need. Lian Li, I knew him from my past life. He became famous very early on, not only in China but also worldwide. He was an extremely famous character. Thanks to his Logia type ability, his strength grew very quickly. He even built his own force, calling himself the Desert Emperor. To make this title more realistic, he even led people from Shinjo on an expedition to the Gobi Desert, fighting all the way to the Middle East without meeting any opponents. It wasn't until a few Western powerhouses, fearing his rapid expansion, joined forces to suppress him that the scope of his force was narrowed. but his strength was recognized, and he was listed as one of the top powerhouses in the world. Currently, although he had also just started cultivating, he was a descendant of a mysterious martial arts family. After the apocalypse broke out, his already strong physique, coupled with his combat experience, meant his haki cultivation was also faster than ordinary people's. Even now, he might have already awakened armament haki, plus the SSS fruit. Even a flesh-eating monster could be killed by him. Lian Li was not angry at being rejected. He intuitively felt that this young man was not simple. It was the intuition of a powerhouse towards another powerhouse. But no matter how strong he was, so what? Without armament haki, could he touch his elementalized body? Even with armament haki, with a newly awakened armament haki, he couldn't possibly be my opponent. Hey, friend, this is the apocalypse. Casually rejecting a powerhouse's invitation will get you killed. I shouldered the steel whip and sneered at Lian Li. What can you do to me? Lian Li's face was cold as he looked straight ahead. He was the most dazzling person in the crowd. In the apocalypse, he was still unmatched. His invitation, born of curiosity, was ignored by me. He threw a lightning-fast punch at me. I immediately swung my steel whip down. I'm never going to fight a fair one-on-one. This is the apocalypse. Who would talk about martial ethics with you? Lian Li didn't care. His arm quickly turned to sand, the punch still flying straight at my face. But just then, a sharp pain suddenly shot through his arm. Lian Li was startled. He hurriedly elementalized and flew into the sky. He could feel that when the opponent's steel whip hit his arm, it had directly hit his elementalized body. A powerful blow had directly broken his arm. He has armament haki. Lian Li was horrified. The opponent not only had armament haki, but the level of his haki was definitely higher than his. How could this be? He couldn't believe it. But the next scene made him have to. Did he think flying into the sky would let him escape, attack for no reason? How could I let him go so easily? I immediately swung the steel whip behind my back, directly transformed into an azure dragon, and chased after the yellow sand in the sky, pouncing with my dragon claws. When Lian Li saw the azure dragon, he cursed inwardly. He exclaimed, "You're the one who ate the azure dragon devil fruit." Thanks to the existence of the divine dimension, many combat scenes of ability users had been recorded and uploaded to the internet. Among them, the most famous was the azure dragon, the possessor of the SSS fruit, and a famous female chimera. She had the ability to create, but until now, that female chimera had not announced the name of her devil fruit ability. Besides them, there were quite a few other ability users, but their combat achievements were not as good as the Azure Dragon and SSS, and their fame was not as great as the female chimeras. Lian Li knew he had hit a hard plate. The opponent not only had powerful haki, but was also the strongest mythical Zoan ability user. But such a person didn't reveal his identity, which caused him to misjudge and directly lose an arm. Moreover, it was his dominant right arm. How could he fight like this? Lian Li controlled the yellow sand to roll up, hoping to block the Azure Dragon's pursuit. I immediately spat out a strong wind from my mouth, and countless wind blades tore through the yellow sand. Damn it! Lian Li was angry. The opponent had a high level of control over his devil fruit ability, able to directly break through his obstruction. You win, don't chase me anymore. Helplessly, he had to back down and apologize. Sorry. It's my fault. But how could a simple apology make me stop? This could be a powerful opponent in the future. If I could eliminate him now, it wouldn't be bad. I spat out a stream of hot breath. Countless grains of yellow sand were melted into glass and fell down. Seeing me chasing relentlessly, Lian Li could only speed up and flee. The flight ability of a Logia type was very convenient. The Azure Dragon flew by clinging to clouds, which seemed a bit more cumbersome, making the speed of the two sides almost the same. After a few minutes of pursuit, Lian Li suddenly dived to the ground. I thought he was in a refractory period and couldn't use his devil fruit ability, so I also flew down. But as soon as I landed, a zombie suddenly burst out from the side, rushing straight towards us. He elementalized and passed straight through the zombie. My vision was blocked by the yellow sand, so I didn't see the zombie appear. This was really unexpected. Fortunately, my observation haki sensed the danger in time, and I quickly transformed into my beast-man form, pulling out the segmented steel whip from behind my back to fight the zombie. The zombie is my apology to you. The previous offense is written off. What do you think? Lian Li stood behind the zombie and, instead of taking the opportunity to run, started a conversation with me. What kind of apology is this? I had just struck the zombie's leg. The violent power made Lian Li's heart tremble. This is the strength of the mythical Zoan Azure Dragon form. It's truly monstrous. I'll help you kill this zombie. We'll split the points. This kind of monster isn't something we can deal with at our current level. But if I support you from the side, you'll have a much easier time killing it. I fought while thinking. It wasn't impossible for me to kill a Jiangshi myself. After all, I had experience once. But there was a Logia ability user lurking nearby. It was inevitable that my hands and feet would be tied when fighting. But if I wanted to leave, the Jiangshi couldn't stop me. Killing a normal zombie gave 10 points, a flesh corpse 100 points, a Jiangshi 1000 points. But if you killed a higher level one, the points would increase by 10 times for each level. Just like before, I used my bronze skin realm to kill a 2-star Jiangshi, which was a 1-level jump, so I got 10,000 points. 10,000 points was a large number for most people, but for me, it wasn't that difficult. There was no reason for me to kill this Jiangshi. Moreover, it wasn't near my home, so it posed no threat to me. But I think killing you is much more valuable. I pushed back the Jiangshi and rushed towards Lian Li again. Are you crazy? Lian Li hurriedly elementalized and flew towards the Jiangshi. After passing through the Jiangshi, I had to face the Jiangshi again. This repeated several times. I stopped chasing. This guy was as cunning as a monkey, always using the Jiangshi as a shield. I couldn't do anything to him for a while. Sure enough, to become a powerhouse in the apocalypse, it's not just about strength. It was hard to kill Lian Li. I transformed into an Azure Dragon and flew into the sky. Hope you still have a Jiangshi to escort you next time we meet. Hey, Lian Li chased after me from behind again. Wait a minute. I turned my head in confusion. Do you have to seek death? From the elementalized yellow sand, Lian Li's head emerged. He still kept a distance from me. I apologize to you again. Recruiting and attacking you was my fault, but I have a deal I want to discuss with you. I sneered. Help me kill a zombie? You think I'm stupid? I and Lian Li were not close at all and couldn't be trusted. Who knew if Lian Li would stab me in the back during the so-called cooperation, or end up fighting for the credit and spoils? Lian Li shook his head and said, "No, I have a devil fruit I want to trade with you." Hearing this, I became interested. A devil fruit? You're willing to trade it? Lian Li said, I've already eaten the Sasa fruit and used the membranizing potion. It needs a full 100 million points. I don't know when I'll ever accumulate enough. This fruit, of course, has to be traded. Speak. I marveled at this guy's luck. Without the advantage of foresight like me, and without Ashley's ability, he could still get to devil fruits. Come down and talk. Lian Li saw that I was willing to listen and probed. How about we go back to where we met just now? I was worried about Ashley's safety and wanted to go back and see. Lian Li had no objections. The two of them returned to the original place, leaving only the zombies roaring in unwillingness. At the armored car, Ashley was sitting on the hood, sunbathing. She believed that her brother could definitely defeat that person, so she wasn't worried at all. Suddenly, an Azure Dragon descended from the sky, followed by a cloud of yellow sand. Brother didn't win. Ashley immediately jumped off the hood, ready to burrow into the ground and escape at any time. But then she thought, if her brother couldn't win, he definitely wouldn't lead the enemy to her, or he would take her and run away. She got ready to jump on the Azure Dragon's back again. But then she saw the Azure Dragon land and transform into a human. Behind it, the yellow sand also landed not far away and condensed into Lian Li's form. This confused Ashley. She gently pulled on my sleeve and asked, Brother, what's the situation? You didn't win. But looking at Lian Li's still dangling arm and his pathetic appearance, he didn't look strong at all. I replied, How could that be? He said he wants to talk business with us. He has a devil fruit he wants to trade. My words made Ashley jump up, her voice also rising. A devil fruit? But why do we have to trade with him? Isn't it better to just rob him? She had gradually integrated into the rhythm of the apocalypse, thinking about robbing everything. Lian Li immediately broke out in a cold sweat. At least speak a little quieter, okay? I can hear everything. What's with these two siblings' heads? One of them keeps chasing and beating me, determined to take my life. The other one opens her mouth and demands to rob me. I said to him, "Speak. What do you need?" Although I could beat Lian Li to a pulp, it wasn't easy to kill him. Otherwise, I would have just robbed him straight away. Seeing my gaze, Lian Li unconsciously took a step back. These two siblings still want to rob him. "Since we're here, let's talk. 3 conditions." He held up 3 fingers. "First, I want 10,000 points. Second, you have to help me kill that zombie. Third, I want to form an alliance with you." I was a little surprised. This request was not high at all. The value of a devil fruit was at least 100,000 points. This was just a common Zoan type. If it were a mythical Zoan, millions of points would not be too much. Lian Li currently didn't know what he was holding. He didn't know the ability of this devil fruit. Killing the zombie would only get 1,000 points. I had experience killing zombies, so it would just take some effort. The important thing was the third condition. An alliance. You're in Shinjo, and I'm in Yujo. Even if we form an alliance, I can't help you with anything. He smiled brightly. "We may be weak now, but what about the future? I can see that you are not someone who is willing to be under others. You will definitely build your own force. Coincidentally, so will I. I believe that your force will spread throughout Yujo, and I will also dominate in Shinjo. At that time, the rising forces will definitely not be just the 2 of us, and Yujo borders Shinjo. What I want is an alliance." At that time, his foresight was so deep, which surprised me. This person was not simple. He was indeed worthy of being the world-renowned Desert Emperor. The apocalypse had only been about 10 days, and he was already thinking about dominating a province and wanting to form an alliance with me. At this time, "You trust us that much, that we can become the strongest in the universe? What if I don't acknowledge it then?" I narrowed my eyes slightly, wanting to see how Lian Li would answer. Lian Li, with one hand in his pocket, smiled and said, "The person who can make me run for my life all over the place. I believe you will definitely achieve great things. As for whether you will acknowledge it or not, that depends on my strength at that time. As long as I am strong enough, it's a win-win situation. Why wouldn't you acknowledge it? On the contrary, if I'm not strong enough, I'm afraid you'll swallow me whole." I burst out laughing. He had a point. In the future, having such an ally would indeed be not bad. "I agree with you." I rested the segmented steel whip on the ground with one hand and extended my hand towards Lian Li. Introducing myself, "My name is Austin Ao. This is my sister, Ashley." Lian Li's eyes twitched, not knowing if he should shake my hand. He was very afraid that as soon as he stepped forward, the other person would turn on him. At that time, he wouldn't even have a place to run. However, he was naturally very daring and also very confident in his judgment. He stepped forward, took out his left hand that was in his pocket, and shook my hand. "You will be a strong ally." But the next moment, his expression changed. A sharp pain came from his palm. My strength was surprisingly great. Just as he thought I was about to turn on him, I let go of his hand. Happy cooperation. Lian Li then breathed a sigh of relief and smiled again. "The devil fruit is not with me. You guys wait a moment. I'll go get it." Saying that, he turned into yellow sand and quickly left. After he left, Ashley asked me curiously, "Brother, aren't you afraid he'll run away and not come back?" I smiled and replied, "If he runs, he runs. We can't kill him anyway. If he doesn't come back one day, we won't need him anymore." Lian Li did not run away immediately. Very quickly, he came back with a backpack. "Brother Ao, you know the value of a devil fruit. First, trade 10,000 points, and I'll give you the fruit. Then we'll go kill the zombie together, okay?" I flatly refused. "You give the fruit first." Lian Li was immediately speechless, but very quickly, he smiled again. "Please trust Brother Ao's character." As he spoke, he took the devil fruit out of his backpack and handed it to me. I looked at it and didn't recognize what kind of fruit it was. I turned around and handed it to Ashley, telling her to keep it safe. Ashley nodded repeatedly and stuffed the fruit into her chest. Lian Li, with his small head, had a big question mark. Did I sell it too expensive? What did I just see? How come the fruit didn't bulge when it was stuffed in? Is this the legendary four-dimensional cleavage? Is that little girl also a devil fruit user? I didn't hide it either. That's right. Then I looked at Lian Li with a half smile. "Are you thinking that if I turn on you, you can threaten Ashley?" Lian Li blinked. "I'm not. Don't talk nonsense." Ashley puffed out her small chest proudly. "Just with you, you can't catch me. Lian Li expressed that he didn't want to talk to her anymore. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't beat her brother, this pair of siblings was really annoying. After getting the devil fruit, I added Lian Li as a friend and transferred 10,000 points to him. I knew you definitely had 10,000 points. Although Lian Li had guessed it, he was still very surprised when he saw that I really had 10,000 points. This meant that he had killed 10,000 zombies. He couldn't possibly not have exchanged for anything, which meant that the actual number of points he had received was even more. Let's go, I'll help you kill the zombie. I and Ashley got into the car. Lian Li also turned into a cloud of sand and sat straight in the back compartment. Your face is really thick, I grumbled while driving. Are you okay? Can you still fight? Lian Li's arm hung limply. As a spiritual cheerleader, his willpower was indeed very strong. His bone was brutally broken, but he still didn't feel any pain now. He snorted. My combat ability is not very good, but I can still use my devil fruit ability. Let me recover. This fight with you was really tiring, I sneered. It was clearly a one-sided beating from me. Lian Li gritted his teeth in anger. This pair of siblings was really not ordinary. Ashley gave me a thumbs up. That's right, beautiful. Then she asked Lian Li, why do you have to kill that zombie with your natural elementalization ability? It can't threaten you. Can't you just kill it when you're stronger? Lian Li sighed. After a zombie evolves into a jiangshi, they are almost no longer the same species. Ordinary firearms are no longer effective against them. Their strength is also surprisingly great. All kinds of vehicles and houses can't resist their attacks. I spent a lot of effort to lure it out of the city. I was resting when I discovered you guys. I originally wanted to invite you, but as a result, I lost another devil fruit. But we found that zombies will automatically move towards human residential areas. Even if I lure this zombie out of the city, it will come back in 2 days. Humans can't resist it now, so killing it is the best choice. Therefore, after he discovered that I was the legendary Azure Dragon Big Shot, he had the idea of leading me to the zombie, borrowing a dragon to kill a zombie. We're here, it's right nearby. The three of them got out of the car. Very quickly, they saw the zombie hopping around aimlessly, but its direction was always towards the city. Be careful. If there's danger, just run. The zombie is not something your current strength can deal with. I instructed Ashley, then surrounded the zombie with Lian Li. A dragon's roar sounded. I transformed into my beast man form, holding the segmented steel whip, and slammed it down on the zombie's head. Behind the zombie, Lian Li summoned a stream of yellow sand that wrapped tightly around the zombie's ankle, hindering its movement. With its ankle buried in yellow sand, the zombie couldn't stand firm and fell straight forward. What a great opportunity. We certainly wouldn't miss it. A powerful current wrapped around the steel whip. I slammed it down on the zombie's head. A loud noise rang out, and the zombie's head cracked open, green brain matter flowing out. But that wasn't enough. I spat out another stream of hot breath. The zombie's hair and clothes were burned to ashes. But the zombie also took this opportunity to try and escape the binding of the yellow sand. It leaped up and rushed towards me. The zombie's sharp fingernails dug into the city wall, making a metallic clanging sound. I swept my steel whip horizontally, wanting to break the zombie's pelvis. At the same time, my dragon tail whipped at the zombie's calf from the other side. The zombie wanted to resist. Behind it, yellow sand rolled up again. The yellow sand turned into a treasured sword and slashed down at the zombie's head. I was strong enough to suppress the zombie on my own. Lian Li behind me could just attack at ease. I asked, doesn't the SSS fruit have the ability to absorb water? Why don't you suck all the water out of its body? Sucking it dry might weaken its combat power. I was very enthusiastic in giving advice to Lian Li, but Lian Li didn't want to accept it at all. He even thought there was always a treacherous minister who wanted to harm him. He said, what if I suck the Z virus from its body into mine? TSK, TSK. You're so careful. Well, since I couldn't trick him, so be it. I continued to deal with the zombie at ease. The steel whip slammed down again. The steel whip, carrying a high-voltage current, beat the zombie's body until it smelled burnt. Taking advantage of the yellow sand binding its forelimbs again, I quickly used the steel whip to hit one of its arms. This arm had been hit by the steel whip repeatedly, and it was covered with cracks. Now, after this blow, it broke off. The arm hung limply. The dragon tail whipped at the zombie's abdomen, causing it to fall to the ground. Then the steel whip rained down, breaking its to thigh bones. The zombie roared, but its legs were broken by me, and it couldn't stand up anymore. I stepped on the zombie's last intact hand with one foot. The terrifying strength pressed down, making the zombie unable to pull its hand out. My steel whip slammed down fiercely, and its last arm was also knocked off by me. "It's broken. You cut off its head." I stepped back and said to Leon Lee. Leon Lee nodded. His left arm turned into a sharp blade and slashed straight at the zombie's neck. The blade was extremely sharp. Even though the zombie's flesh was tough, its throat was still its weakest point. What's more, I had repeatedly spat fire and used electricity to weaken its flesh. But even so, Leon Lee still had to chop continuously for more than 10 times before the zombie's head rolled to the ground. It could no longer struggle. "Your steel whip is really domineering." After beheading the zombie, Leon Lee was surprised to find that he had gained an additional 10,000 points, because he had not yet reached the bronze skin level. Killing this zombie was counted as a 2-level jump, so he directly received 100 times the points. He had tested this zombie's defense before. He couldn't break its defense at all, but now, Austin Au had used a steel whip to directly break its toughest for limbs. If it weren't for the lightning and fire weakening the zombie's defense, he wouldn't even have been able to cut off its head. Thinking of the scene where he almost had his pelvis broken, he cursed pervert in his heart and secretly thought, "Are all mythical zones this strong?" For a moment, he felt that his SSS fruit was nothing. I shrugged. Anyway, I wanted to leave this zombie for Leon Lee. Otherwise, I would have dealt with it cleanly. I walked towards the car. Ashley was standing there, looking at the battle just now. Seeing us come back, she asked me curiously, "Brother, why didn't you just kill that zombie straight away? Why bother disabling its for limbs?" I explained, "To let Leon Lee kill it himself." Ashley frowned, as if there was something she didn't understand. "But isn't killing zombies for points? You could have just killed it and given the points to Leon Lee." This Leon Lee's level was lower than mine, so the points he got for killing zombies were 10 times mine. This was a way to get rich. I would beat the zombie half to death myself, and then let Ashley finish it off. The bonus points would skyrocket, directly multiplied by 10. After parting ways with Leon Lee, we continued to drive east. The alliance with Leon Lee was really beneficial. In the future, his force would be very large. At that time, I could use the privilege of a divine member to trade with Leon Lee's force and earn points. After 3 days of driving east, I didn't find any more devil fruits, so I decided to go back. This time, I had been away from home for 17 days. The world had completely fallen into the apocalypse. There was no water or electricity everywhere. Traffic was paralyzed, and everything human civilization relied on had been destroyed. The law of suppression had promoted the evolution of zombies. On the other side of the ocean, the bald eagle and the polar bear had even used nuclear weapons to try and kill a wave of zombies. As a result, they directly promoted the evolution of zombies into stronger 3-star zombies. Now, those places had become ghost lands where high-level zombies roamed, and not a single living creature existed. They had become a paradise for zombies. The collapse of the satellite system also made navigation useless, but I still relied on my past life's experience and my control of direction and distance to return home. On the way, Ashley suddenly exclaimed, "There's a treasure. I sense a treasure again." I immediately followed her instructions and headed towards the place with the treasure. This was an area bordering the city and the countryside, so the number of zombies was relatively small. On the way, I tested my idea, but the results were not very satisfactory. Ashley's level was too low. Although she was a mythical zone, she didn't have any extra strength. Even if I had cut off a zombie's for limbs, it would still take Ashley a lot of time to cut off its head. However, the speed of earning points still increased significantly. I knew that it wouldn't be long before the divine dimension would change the rules for calculating points. At that time, earning points would no longer be based on killing zombies, but on the degree of damage caused to them. There wouldn't be many opportunities to leech like this. In my past life, I had always struggled at the bottom of the apocalypse and had never enjoyed the opportunity. In this life, although I could let Ashley leech, there were pros and cons. The disadvantage was that Ashley would have fewer opportunities to fight, and her strength would increase slowly. You must know that the cultivation of Haki completely relied on training the body and fighting. In the apocalypse, 1 step behind was 100 steps behind. Those powerful people had to fight constantly to always keep their strength at the leading position. The car drove near an ecological restaurant. There was an orchard here. The two of them got out of the car, preparing to enter the orchard, when they saw a person holding a machete tied to a stick walk out of the orchard. This was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his late 30s, because he had been planting trees all year round and also ran a tourist farm and cooked. He looked quite weathered, but when I saw him, my expression changed. "It's him." "Who are you?" the man growled, pointing his self-made weapon at the two of us. Ashley was about to explain to him, but I swung the steel whip in my hand and smashed it straight at the man's head. Brother, Ashley was a little dazed. Although her brother had become cold and ruthless, he had never killed someone without asking for the reason like this. "This is one of my enemies from my past life," I explained calmly. Hearing a shrill scream from behind, "Da Young, I'll kill you." I turned around and saw a middle-aged woman holding a kitchen knife rushing frantically towards me. Hearing the woman's screams, 2 more old people walked out of the house. Their bodies looked quite healthy. One held a hoe, the other a shovel. After seeing the man's body on the ground, they were struck by lightning. "Little Yong." The old couple trembled, seeing the blood on my whip. What else could they not understand? Ashley felt like she was in a daze, not knowing what to do, but I had already acted. 10 seconds later, there were 3 more corpses on the ground. I still didn't stop. I kicked the door open and walked into the house in the village. A boy of about 3 or 4 years old was looking at me with a horrified expression. Ashley followed from behind. She had just heard me say a sentence about my past life's enemy, and then she saw me kill everyone. But no matter what kind of enemy it was, a 3 or 4-year-old child couldn't possibly threaten him, right? I turned my head and looked at Ashley, then put down the steel whip in my hand. "Give me your knife." Ashley took out the knife and asked bluntly, "This child has to be killed too?" I smiled and said, "Give him a chance." Then I exchanged for another piece of Sea King meat. I placed the meat and the knife in front of the boy at the same time. "Choose one. If you choose correctly, I won't kill you." The boy's trembling eyes swept over the knife and the meat and finally focused on my face, as if he wanted to remember the face of the man in front of him for the rest of his life. "Hey." The steel whip slammed down on the ground, my eyes filled with murderous intent. The boy was so scared he peed his pants, hurriedly grabbed the meat, and looked at me with pleading eyes. Ashley asked, "He chose the meat. Do you still have to kill him?" I said coldly. "I killed his whole family, but he chose the meat instead of the knife." With such a deep scheming mind, this child absolutely cannot be kept. Saying that, I looked straight into the boy's terrified eyes, raised the steel whip, and finished him off. Ashley was stunned on the spot. She was a little confused. What if he chose the knife? Choosing the knife means he holds a grudge and wants to kill me. Someone who wants to kill me must naturally die. Ashley, with her small head full of big questions, asked, "What if he chose both?" I replied seriously, greedy and insatiable. "When he grows up, I'm afraid killing me alone won't be enough. He'll want to kill our whole family, so he must be eliminated even more. What if he didn't choose anything?" I walked towards the other rooms while saying, "He already dares to disrespect me now. In the future, wouldn't he kill me? So he can't be kept even more." Ashley held her forehead, completely speechless. "So no matter what, he had to die, right? Then why did you put on such a show? And really, what kind of grudge do you have with this family that you have to kill them?" I carefully searched every room, including all the hidden corners, all the cabinets, under the beds, and so on. "What are you looking for? The devil fruit isn't here." I continued to rummage through the rubble, my voice coming out. "See if there are any fish that slipped through the net." Ashley said confusedly, "How can you hide a person in a makeup box? You're even looking through plastic bags." I said righteously, "Who knows if someone ate a strange devil fruit? For example, one that makes you small or turns you into a plastic bag." I searched carefully, and after confirming there was nothing else, I led Ashley away. Before leaving, I poured all the oil and other flammable materials in the house onto the floor. A stream of hot breath ignited the house. I looked at the big fire with satisfaction and turned to Ashley. "Let's go find the devil fruit. The fire will reach the orchard soon." In an orchard full of fruits, One of them looked particularly special. Its color was a deep blue-green, and its surface was covered with black fluff and spiral patterns. It was a devil fruit. This fruit was hidden very well. It was among many other fruits. If it weren't for Ashley being able to directly determine its location, even if I knew there was a devil fruit in the orchard, it wouldn't be easy to find. This fruit is probably the one that personated my past life, but that fruit is really strong. I gave the fruit to Ashley, and she put it in her storage space. The two of them returned to the car and set off back. On the way, I told her about the cause and effect of my past life with this family. That man was once a member of my team. I had also helped his family. Later, he betrayed me and followed a stronger person. These things were originally not blameworthy. In chaotic times, changing factions was a common thing. Whoever was strong, you followed them. This was the most basic principle. Of course, when I met him, he no longer lived here, but had taken his wife and children to the city. I had never heard him mention his parents. Perhaps they had died on the road. Later, he led people to attack my base, causing us heavy losses, and we could no longer hold on. After that, I had to lead people to follow another powerhouse. Yesterday, our two sides had a conflict. That organization was completely destroyed. I killed him and his wife. There was a person who had always followed me who advised me to spare his son. In the end, I still agreed. But I didn't expect that because I spared that little brat. He later sought me out for revenge, making my life a living hell several times. In the end, under the arrangement of a damn couple, I was killed by that beast. An eye for an eye will only continue the cycle of revenge. When one side is completely dead, everything will naturally end. I stepped on the gas hard. Damn it, and that damn couple. Don't let me find them, or I'll wipe out their entire family too. Ashley then understood what had happened to her brother in her past life, and also knew why he had rummaged through everything to search and burn the house. That bastard. In this life, I don't have so many devil fruits, so I won't be bullied by others anymore. Ashley gently comforted me. She couldn't imagine how difficult her brother's life was in his past life, without the ability of foresight and without a devil fruit. 5 days later, we returned to Bianchang. At this time, the major provincial capitals, due to the military suppression, had high-level zombies. But Bianchang, this small city, on the contrary, the highest level was only mutated flesh-eating zombies. When we got home, the car still had half a tank of gas. It would be inconvenient to go out later. Marcus Meng did a good job. The gate of the house downstairs was installed with many fences and barbed wire, surrounding the entrance to the building. Normal zombies couldn't get in, and it was very difficult for flesh corpses to get in either. Of course, if there were high-level zombies, they could easily destroy these obstacles. Fortunately, Bianchang didn't have those high-level zombies. Between the obstacles were several layers of thick iron doors. I didn't know where Marcus Meng got these things, but when I saw a large truck next to it, I knew this was probably also found by Marcus. I didn't have a key, and I couldn't just destroy the obstacle in front of my own house. I transformed into an Azure Dragon, carried Ashley, and flew straight to my bedroom window, opened the window, and went in. As soon as I entered, I heard people talking in the living room. It was my dad and Marcus Meng's parents. We're back. Our sudden appearance startled the few people in the house. When they saw clearly that it was us, they breathed a sigh of relief. Why did you come out of the bedroom? I said. I saw the hallway door was blocked. It would be a pity to break it, so I turned into an Azure Dragon and flew up. After not seeing my family for several days, seeing them again now felt both familiar and reassuring. The family was still safe and sound. At this time, my father was bandaging Marcus Meng's wound. Seeing this, I was immediately startled. An injury like that was likely from a zombie bite, and that would lead to transformation. What happened to Marcus? I was ready to deal with Marcus Meng. Once transformed, it was no joke. My father, Dr. Aronau, immediately understood my worry, waved his hand at me, and said, Marcus was bitten on the shoulder while shielding your mother from a zombie. But I used the ability of the op fruit to remove that piece of flesh. He won't be infected. Dr. Aaron stood between me and Marcus. The scene of Marcus desperately helping Helen Zhang resist the zombie moved him greatly. He even considered Marcus as his adopted son. I was still not at ease. The Z virus was extremely dangerous. Once infected, the transformation was very fast. Just cutting off a piece of flesh, would it really be okay? But Marcus Meng had indeed helped my family a lot. I couldn't be too ruthless. I decided to observe for a while. Marcus Meng said, "Boss, don't worry. I live downstairs. Even if I get infected, I won't affect everyone." I still didn't know about the matter downstairs. Helen Zhang explained, after the Chen family died, Marcus went to find building materials to seal our building. Then he took the initiative to move to the first floor, saying he could help us detect and resist zombies early. So these past few days, he's been on the first floor, in the old apartment of the Zhao family. Dr. Aaron said, "I have studied the Z virus. It will turn the blood black." When Marcus was just bitten, I used the ability of the Overpowered fruit to cut off the bitten part. That place had just started to turn black. The other places were fine. The Z virus probably hadn't spread yet. I have been closely monitoring Marcus's body to prevent him from suddenly transforming and harming others. Seeing that I was not at ease, Marcus Meng took the initiative to go downstairs, and I followed him. Now that your arm is injured, your combat power is reduced. If a zombie comes, it will be very difficult for you to resist. I can guarantee you don't have to worry. Of course, if you transform, I will not hesitate to finish you, I said bluntly. Without beating around the bush, this was not the time to be roundabout. Marcus Meng smiled bitterly, indicating that he understood. I understand, boss. The two of them went to the room on the first floor. Marcus Meng sat on the sofa to rest. The atmosphere was a little. I entered the divine dimension and exchanged for a large piece of meat that Luffy loved most. This thing not only had a very good effect on restoring stamina, but could also heal wounds. In addition, one piece cost a full 100 points, a luxury that people in this period could not afford. Eat this, it can help you quickly heal the wound on your arm. I handed the large piece of meat to Marcus Meng. Although this thing could not resist the Z virus, its healing effect was very good. I stayed in Marcus Meng's room for half a day to confirm that his body had not transformed. Only then did I bring him back upstairs. Boss, I'm not going anymore. I can also rest on this floor, I said. You did very well. If you have contributed, you will naturally be rewarded. Hearing the word reward, Marcus Meng's eyes burned. The boss has been out for so long. What for? Isn't it to find devil fruits? Could it be that I can also get a devil fruit? It seemed that these days of effort were not in vain. Ashley, take out the devil fruits. Let's appraise them and see which one is more suitable. With my permission, Ashley immediately and excitedly took out the devil fruits. Besides the rumble fruit, there were a total of 4. One from the provincial capital factory, one from the wild mountains, one from Lian Li, and the last one from the orchard. The appraisal fee is 1,000 points for each. For 1,000 points, that's too expensive. Helen Zhang felt that it was unnecessary to spend money to appraise devil fruits. Who wouldn't eat this thing as soon as they got it? These days, the old couple had gradually gotten used to the life of the apocalypse. Moreover, they had a deep understanding of devil fruits and the Haki system. With the points I had given them before, their physique was also very good now. Although they hadn't reached the level of awakening Haki, their spirit and appearance had become a little younger. But I didn't think it was expensive. We have Ashley. There will definitely be more than just these devil fruits. Of course, if you want to eat the best, appraisal is still necessary. I appraised all 4 devil fruits one by one. To my surprise, I found that these fruits were not bad at all. I mean, there were no ordinary Zoan-type fruits. Among them, there was 1 Paramecia type and 3 Zoan types. Specifically, the Stitch fruit, a Paramecia type, the Ox fruit, Zoan model Auhan, the Bird fruit, Zoan model, Sun Rooster, and the Rhino fruit, ancient Zoan model, Indricotherium. There are actually 2 mythical zones. I highly suspected that the Hordrat had a hidden attribute of luck. The remaining Zoan type was also an ancient Zoan, the Indricotherium. It was a giant rhinoceros from ancient times. It had super thick fur and a huge sharp horn. It could be imagined that the Indricotherium form would provide the user with a large amount of strength and defense. The Auhan was a mythical beast in legends, shaped like an ox with fur long-haired legs. It was said to be born in the underworld, liked to eat people, and was extremely ferocious. As for the Sun Rooster, needless to say, it was a celestial being in legends, one of the 28 mansions. It was definitely not an ordinary being. My family was also very surprised and happy after knowing the results. At first, they thought it was good enough to have a devil fruit, but they didn't expect to get such good ones. Mom, you choose first. Except for the ancient Zoan type, the other three are very good. The Stitch fruit, a paramecia type, can sew everything together. Although its destructive power is not strong, its ability to control enemies is unparalleled. If developed well, it will definitely not be weaker than the string fruit. Of course, I still hope Mom chooses one of the two mythical zones. After all, in the apocalypse, a healthy body is the most important thing. The devil fruit is just the icing on the cake. This time, Helen Zhang did not refuse. She now also understood that in the apocalypse, only when she was strong could she be the greatest help to her son. Saving anything was useless. I choose the Stitch fruit. Helen Zhang picked up the Stitch fruit. She said, "These days, I have also seen a lot of introductions about devil fruits. The ability of this fruit is not bad. It just so happens that your mother is in the fashion industry and also likes this fruit. My mother said my ability is really great. I was thinking of catching a zombie to study. With this devil fruit, I can also tightly restrain the zombie, which is also a great help. Leave the mythical zones for the young people." As she spoke, she ate the rare paramecia type devil fruit, the Stitch fruit. She had seen me and Dr. Aaron eat devil fruits, so she knew this fruit was very unpalatable. But she still didn't expect it to be so unpalatable. It was truly speechless. But thinking that this was the devil fruit, that her son and daughter had worked so hard to bring back, she gritted her teeth and swallowed it. As soon as the devil fruit entered her stomach, she quickly felt its ability. Then she went to the drawer and took out a steel needle. A small thread immediately appeared in the eye of this needle. The thread looked short, but she knew that the length of this thread depended on her stamina. As long as her stamina was not exhausted, the thread would be infinitely long. She used the needle to pierce the table, completely without any resistance, very easily piercing through. Then the needle passed through the table. She squatted on the ground and used the needle to pierce the floor again. Again, the needle easily pierced through. She had sewn the table and the floor together. No matter what I did to this table, I couldn't separate it from the floor. The durability of this thread was far beyond imagination. But when I transformed into my beast man form, I could still use my strength to break the thread. It was just that before the thread broke, the table had been pulled apart first. Not bad. As long as Mom trains her speed, she can completely sew a zombie to the ground and then slowly deal with it. Or as Mom said, use it for Dad to study. In this way, both my parents became ability users, their combat power soaring. At this time, I looked at Jade Liu and Marcus Meng. These two devil fruits, you to choose. You two have done very well these past few days. This is your well-deserved reward. Jade Liu had been diligently taking care of my mother. When fighting, she protected my mother in front. After the battle, she would thoughtfully massage my mother's shoulders and back. That day, when the Chen father and son grabbed my mother, she was always vigilant and killed both of them. Although she said it lightly in the Divine Dimension chat group, I later learned that when she killed the two of them, she was also slightly injured. For a woman, this was not easy. As for Marcus Meng, needless to say, to protect my mother, he was even bitten by a zombie. If it weren't for my father having the ability of the op fruit, he would have been infected by now. Although I knew they did this with the purpose of being rewarded, that was normal. I was not an ungrateful person, nor did I have the charisma to make people submit and bow down. Good work is rewarded, bad work is punished. That is the long-term way. My limit is not to be betrayed. Jade Liu and Marcus Meng were extremely surprised and happy. They didn't expect to get such a big reward so quickly. It seemed that their choice was not wrong. The two looked at each other. The mythical Zoan devil fruit always brought more than they had invested. Tens of thousands of times the benefits. Their eyes were burning. Finally, Jade Liu spoke first. Brother Meng is more strength-oriented. That Aohan fruit, from its name, you know it's a beast of strength. It's more suitable for Brother Meng. She smiled brightly. The charm of a mature woman completely different from the naive little girl Ashley. A bird-type devil fruit should be able to fly, right? My physique is not as good as Brother Meng's. If I can fly, it will be of more help to me. What do you think, Master? As for me, I told them to choose for themselves. This was their reward. Marcus Meng also aimed at the Aohan fruit. he pursued extreme violence. The Aohan fruit was clearly very suitable for him. I agree with Miss Liu's words. If the boss has no objections, I will eat this Aohan fruit. I certainly had no objections. I took them out to share with them. I was not afraid that these two would turn on me after eating the devil fruits. My advantage was not only the Azure Dragon Fruit, but also the Haki Genius talent and the Divine Member title. 1 step ahead, 1,000 steps ahead. If the two of them, after eating the devil fruits, their strength was still not as good as mine. Even if they secretly betrayed me, I had countless ways to punish them. Moreover, I understood that in the apocalypse, although forces were important, the root of a force was still the leader. I was the solid foundation, right? I respect your choices. Proper respect would make subordinates more loyal. Sure enough, after hearing my words, their eyes looking at me became even more fervent. Master, rest assured, Jade will always be yours. Jade Liu was the first to express her loyalty. She even knelt down to show her submission. He would not betray me just because he got a devil fruit. He also understood that my strength was irreplaceable. Marcus Meng also hurriedly expressed his loyalty. He knelt on one knee, imitating a scene from a movie, placing one hand on his chest and making the gesture of a Western knight. I, Marcus Meng, also swear to follow you to the death. Someone who would give a mythical Zoan devil fruit to his subordinate. He believed that besides me, there would not be a second person in this world. Eat. I nodded slightly. I had heard a lot of these expressions of loyalty. As for whether they were truly loyal, that depended on their actions. As soon as they got downstairs, Marcus Meng's body began to transform uncontrollably. Along with a roar like a herd of oxen, his muscles began to bulge violently. 2 sharp ox horns grew from his forehead, pointing straight forward. On top of his head, 2 more curved black ox horns appeared. His face quickly turned into an ox's head. His body also grew long, thick black ox hair, looking like a straw raincoat. The Aohan, also known as the Ngaom, was supposed to be a white ox. I didn't know why this devil fruit was black. Moreover, his body was surrounded by a layer of gloomy black light. This black light exuded coldness and death. I intuitively felt that this black light was very dangerous. It must be some kind of strange element. Along with the successful transformation, Marcus Meng had completely transformed. His forehooves were like iron hammers. He stomped down on a zombie, directly breaking its bones. When he stepped on this zombie, it was trampled into a deep hoof-shaped pit. Impressive. Immediately after, the black light on his body began to spread to the zombie. Very quickly, the zombie's body began to rot and decay. Zombies were originally undead creatures that needed to go through a process of evolution, from death to become life. But now, these black lights directly made their rotten flesh even more withered. That black light was the underworld chi of death. Legends said that the Aohan was born in the underworld, so it was completely normal for it to carry the aura of the underworld. At this moment, Jade Liu standing next to him was also undergoing an astonishing transformation. Her body also had a huge change. A fiery red chicken comb grew on top of her head. Feathers all over her body grew out, burning with golden flames. She suddenly turned into a chicken, a large rooster burning with fierce flames. But shouldn't she be a hen? I thought to myself. Of course, mythical beasts and legends might not have genders. They all had one form. The sun rooster spread its wings. It was even more beautiful than before, with a faint resemblance to a phoenix. Its whole body was burning with golden flames. That was the true fire of the sun. The temperature was even higher than the flames I could control. Sure enough, the flare fruit was garbage that even dogs wouldn't eat. Ashley on the side also exclaimed, "This bird is so beautiful." Although it was called a chicken, it could be compared to a phoenix. The golden flames retracted into Jade Liu's body. She descended from the air and transformed into her beast-man form. Feathers made of golden fire were still burning on her body. Behind her was a pair of large wings. Both her legs and hands had turned into sharp chicken claws. To be honest, Marco's phoenix is really pathetic. The beast-man form has to have two. Her arms didn't actually merge into wings. She was more like Marco from the Whitebeard Pirates, even in her hybrid form. Her arms remained separate, allowing her to wield the military saber at her waist. Golden flames erupted, enveloping the blade. With a single, clean slash, she decapitated a zombie. The sun-true fire clung to the corpse, incinerating it. Beside her, Marcus Meng snapped out of his feral state and settled into his own beast-human form. He was immense, easily standing 3 meters tall, wreathed in a chilling netherworld chi. A single swing of his weapon cleaved another zombie in two. Zoan-type fruits granted them a staggering boost in physical prowess, even without awakening Haki. They were more than a match for these common zombies. This was the power of a mythical Zoan. Watching the two of them explode with power, Ashley couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. Oh, they're so strong. Why does my treasure-hunting mouse fruit only know how to run away? Meanwhile, the commotion had attracted the attention of their neighbors. From a high-rise across the street, a young man looked down, his eyes wide at the sight of Marcus and Jade in their awe-inspiring forms. He quickly recorded the scene and uploaded it to the God-given space. A mythical Zoan hybrid. Wait, there are 2 of them in the same place. What are the odds? I'm so jealous. I want to transform too. I have to follow these big shots. With the power of their mythical zones, Marcus and Jade quickly cleared the wandering zombies near the house. However, neither had awakened Haki yet, and their stamina wasn't enough to maintain their hybrid forms for long. Alright, you both have devil fruit abilities now, Austin said. Self-protection shouldn't be a major issue anymore. Spread out and hunt. Think of it as training. They immediately followed his command. Combat wasn't just for points, it was for cultivation. Austin glanced over at his parents. Their paramecia abilities seemed to synergize perfectly. His father, Dr. Aronau, was even collecting zombie tissue samples, muttering about wanting to study them. But with no research equipment at home, he decided he'd have to make a trip to the central hospital, where some of the devices might still be functional. Austin, meanwhile, started hunting what he called flesh corpses. After crippling their limbs, he'd leave them for Ashley to finish off. Unfortunately, her attack power was pitifully low. It took her an eternity to saw through a single zombie's neck. Austin frowned. This is taking too long. This kind of simple decapitation was practice, sure, but it was terribly inefficient. Ashley's stamina was limited, and at this rate, her actual strength would grow too slowly. In the apocalypse, power was far more valuable than points. Across the city, other survivors were fighting zombies with whatever they could find, but most lacked Haki or any formal training methods. Compared to them, Austin's group, slaughtering zombies with ease, stood out like a beacon. Desperate people, tired of living hand-to-mouth, started asking about them in the God-given space, hoping to connect with these powerhouses. I know them, they live right across from my building. The man who had filmed Marcus and Jade posted in a Bunchang survivor group chat, even sharing his location. It's not just those 2 mythical zones, another nearby survivor added. The legendary Azure Dragon is with them too. What? 3 mythical zones? They're basically unstoppable in Bunchang. Our city is practically zombie-free now. I heard the capital already has 3-star, even 4-star zombies. I saw a video, 1 punch from that thing was like a mini nuke. Nobody can handle that right now. I want to follow these leaders, but I wonder if they'd even accept me. Austin, however, was too focused on the fight to care about online chatter. He led Ashley through the streets, not even bothering with his dragon form, relying solely on his Haki and blade. The fight was a relentless forward march. Slow down,